Waking up dizzy after 60 isn't just common, it's often ignored. But here's the truth. If you feel the room spin or your balance waver the moment you get out of bed, it may not just be age catching up. Doctors now know that morning dizziness in older adults is strongly linked to two hidden causes: orthostatic hypotension, a dangerous drop in blood pressure when you stand, and vestibular degeneration, a gradual decline in your inner ear balance system. Both can quietly erode your stability, increase fall risk, and signal deeper cardiovascular or neurological issues. And yet, many seniors never mention it to their doctor because they think it's normal, but it's not, and it can be fixed. If you've ever had to hold onto a nightstand just to feel steady in the morning, stay with me, because what you're about to learn could protect your brain, your heart, and your independence. As we get older, we expect our bodies to slow down, a few aches, maybe stiffer joints. But what we're not told is that balance, something we've trusted our entire lives, can begin to slip away without warning. And morning dizziness is often the first whisper. One of the most overlooked causes is orthostatic hypotension. That's when your blood pressure drops abnormally when you go from lying down to standing. It's not just lightheadedness, it's a real shift in blood flow. Imagine your brain, after a night of rest, suddenly being starved of oxygen-rich blood in those first 10 seconds of your day. The result? That brief vertigo, that need to sit back down, that fear of falling no one talks about. A large-scale study published in JAMA Neurology found that over 20% of adults over 60 experience orthostatic hypotension, and many don't realize it. Why? Because the symptoms can be brief, unpredictable, and easy to dismiss. But each dizzy spell increases the risk of falling by up to 50%, especially within the first hour after waking. And then there's your vestibular system, the tiny network of fluid-filled canals and nerves in your inner ear that help your body sense motion and maintain balance. With age, this system starts to deteriorate. The nerve signals become slower, the fluid thickens, and your brain receives confusing messages. That's why for some, turning your head too fast or even just rolling over in bed can trigger that wave of dizziness. But what makes all this more dangerous is silence. Seniors often chalk it up to just getting older. They don't bring it up to family, they don't mention it during checkups, and slowly they begin to move less. Avoid early walks, delay standing, and that small hesitation starts to shape their entire day. I remember speaking with a retired teacher from Calgary. She told me, "I always pause when I get out of bed. Not because I'm tired, but because I'm scared of the first few seconds." That quiet fear, the kind no one else sees, can wear on a person more than the dizziness itself. But there's something even more troubling beneath it all. I once met George, a 72-year-old retired rail worker from outside Edmonton. Broad-shouldered, sharp-witted, he'd spent 4 decades working outdoors, fixing track lines through wind, snow, and prairie heat. But in the quiet years after retirement, something changed. He told me, "I never had trouble with my balance before, but lately I feel like I'm on a ship the moment I get up." At first, he brushed it off, maybe dehydration, maybe bad sleep. But then came the morning when he stood up, took one step toward the bathroom, and blacked out. His daughter found him 10 minutes later, curled on the tile, a bruise forming on his forehead. No broken bones. Just fear. Fear that the independence he'd earned over a lifetime was starting to slip through his fingers. Fear that maybe this was just aging. But that fall turned out to be a turning point, because when he finally spoke to his doctor, they discovered something surprisingly fixable. His morning blood pressure was plummeting nearly 30 points upon standing. A classic case of orthostatic hypotension, made worse by two things no one had warned him about: his blood pressure medication and poor morning hydration. With a few small adjustments, timing his meds later in the morning, drinking a full glass of water before getting out of bed, and adding just a pinch of salt to his breakfast, things began to change. Slowly, that ship on the sea feeling faded. If you've never heard that dizziness could be caused by low blood pressure or inner ear decline, comment "dizzy mornings" below, because you're not the only one. And George, he walks every morning again now. No fear, just confidence and a quiet understanding of what his body needs before he moves. But not every case is about blood pressure. There's also the vestibular link, especially in seniors who've had multiple ear infections in life, or those who take medications that affect nerve signals, like certain sedatives or anti-anxiety drugs. I remember sitting with Mary, 68, who used to be a dance instructor. Her balance had been impeccable, but in the last year, she found herself avoiding stairs. She stopped gardening unless someone else was home. She said something I'll never forget: "I still feel young in my heart, but my body hesitates, like it's trying to protect me from a fall I haven't even had yet." Her doctor referred her to a vestibular therapist, someone trained to retrain the balance system through slow, controlled head movements and eye exercises, and within weeks, her symptoms began to fade. Her confidence returned, not because the fear vanished, but because she finally understood what was happening. That's the missing piece for many older adults. They don't need lectures, they need answers that feel doable. Gentle, step-by-step changes rooted in understanding, not fear. For some, the fix is hydration and posture. Sitting up slowly, moving the ankles before rising, drinking warm water before standing. For others, it's light vestibular training, like turning the head slowly left and right before getting out of bed, or gently focusing on a fixed point on the wall while standing. And for a few, it might mean revisiting medications, especially those for blood pressure, anxiety, or sleep, which often have dizziness as a side effect when taken on an empty stomach or too early in the morning. But here's the deeper truth no one talks about. Dizziness isn't just physical, it's emotional. That sudden wave of imbalance, it shakes more than your body. It shakes your trust in your legs, in your space, in your ability to move freely without doubt. And that doubt, it grows quietly. It makes you sit longer, walk less, stay home more, until one day you realize you're organizing your life around avoiding falls instead of living it fully. There comes a moment in aging when the body speaks louder than the mind. You know what you want to do, but your body has started whispering, be careful. At first, it's subtle. A hand on the wall as you walk through the hallway at night. A pause before stepping into the shower. A quiet decision not to go down the basement stairs today, just in case. But underneath all of this isn't just physical caution. It's grief. Grief over losing trust in the thing that carried you all your life. Grief that doesn't always come with tears, but with silence, with hesitation. I've spoken to dozens of seniors, active, vibrant, strong, who've confessed something they'd never even told their families. I'm afraid of falling. I'm afraid of what it would take from me. And that fear, it's valid. A single fall after 65 can double your risk of long-term hospitalization. Dizziness is not just annoying, it's a warning shot. It's your body saying, I'm off balance, but I can still be helped. Because here's the hopeful part. Your brain is still trainable. Your circulation is still responsive. Your nervous system, even now, is still adaptable. It's called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, even in your 70s and 80s. And the vestibular system? It can be retrained too. You are not too old to restore balance, not just physically, but emotionally. Because when you take even small actions to understand and support your body's signals, something else happens. You start to rebuild trust. Trust in your feet. Trust in the next step. Trust that you are not breaking down, but adjusting. Sometimes the turning point isn't a treatment or a fix. It's a moment. The moment you realize this dizziness doesn't define you. It just reminds you to pay attention. And from that moment, healing becomes possible. Not always perfect, but steadier, safer, stronger than fear. Sometimes the smallest shift can change everything, not just in how you move, but in how you feel about moving. Maybe it starts tomorrow morning with one small glass of water before you stand. Maybe it's that extra breath before you rush to the bathroom. Or maybe it's just noticing that moment of dizziness and finally deciding not to ignore it anymore. Your body isn't failing, it's speaking. And it's never too late to start listening differently. Because every morning you rise, every time you place your feet on the ground, you're telling the world, I'm still here, I'm still choosing to move forward. And that choice, it matters more than you know. If any part of today's video made you feel seen or reminded you of something you've been quietly carrying, leave a comment, even just a few words. There's a community here that understands. And if you'd like to keep walking this journey with us, maybe consider joining us here on Elderly Seasons. We talk about things most people overlook, like dizziness. Like, thanks for spending this time with me.